So, folks, if we talk to business people and ask them, when do you think this application or project has to be launched? They'll tell you only one thing. If possible, can we do it yesterday? Or in the worst case, today? That is the pace at which developments are happening in the world of business. And if the businesses have to remain competitive, they have to embrace new methodologies of development. And when I was a developer personally, I was always thinking about some different ways of executing the projects. Because anytime, if the developer is developing something on time, we used to have dependency with the deployment team. Though you are able to finish your task on time, you are not able to deploy the project on time because of various constraints. But do we have similar constraints today? Hello. Hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series. The Guiding Voice for a better future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. Dear listeners, in every episode, we interact with industry experts or academicians or leaders or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help our audience learn great things. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact about the IT world or technology towards the end. So stay tuned till the end. Thank you for tuning in. This is Naveen and with my co-host Sudhakar. So by now you might have guessed the topic for today. It is the world of DevOps. And we are pleased to welcome Akash to our show.
So in the last decade, Akash D P worked for companies like Suksh, IBM, Oracle, and Checkpoint in different capacities. In all these companies, his experience was in the DevOps area. Akash's hobbies include reading, writing blogs, volunteering to leadership forums. During his free time, which of course is very limited, Akash loves to watch movies. Akash, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Naveen and Sudhakar. Thank you for this opportunity, and it's pretty much pleasure to have a discussion with you regarding my career experience. Thank you so much.
Akash, the pleasure is all ours, and we should thank you for taking time from your busy schedule with blogs, volunteering, and whatnot. So, Akash, can we talk a bit about your career background, how this DevOps got into your life or you got influenced by DevOps?
Yeah, so basically after finishing my BSc, BSc in computers, I started my career as a network support engineer. And then I eventually became a senior network engineer in the company called Suksh Technology, which was an e-commerce platform. And then I continued to work there around 3.34 years. And then by May 2015, I joined IBM as a technical service specialist, which was mostly focused, my role was focused into application support and maintenance and all those stuff. There I was pretty much worried about my skill set. So, and then I started focusing on DevOps skills, which was, I really got better tutorials from IBM Learning Center. Also, I took, few courses to study DevOps and all. And then, fortunately, I got an offer from Oracle as a DevOps engineer in 2019. And then I worked there as a DevOps engineer, I think around 1 year, close to 1 year, not even completed 1 year, but that's, I would say it's 1 year. And then since last October, which is 2020 October, I joined Checkpoint as a software developer as well as DevOps into Checkpoint. So that's my career background so far. So it's been 8 months. I'm working with Checkpoint. So far it's going good.
That's an impressive career journey, starting from network, the infrastructure side, to application support engineer, to now DevOps. So in last 5-6 years that you started working from, application development standpoint, IBM, Oracle, and now Checkpoint. Can you please provide brief overview of this DevOps from a layman's perspective?
So According to me, I can talk based on my experience. So DevOps is basically it's an integration between development and operation team, where the some task of development and some task of operations being collaborated and using different methodologies, using different technologies by collaborating with team. So DevOps team will do certain tasks like continuous integration, deployment, and all. So that's what I would call it as a DevOps, which have both to do like development plus operations. So that's what I would say DevOps definition.
Great. So Akash, it's more about the mindset change that is required in order to have that kind of collaboration between the development team, operations team, and also business teams, because all the three need to come together for the success of the project altogether, right? So that is more on the people side of it. Now, can we talk a little bit about the tools? Like, what are some of the tools that are popular in the DevOps world?
So DevOps, if you really talk about the tools and all, there is no limitation for it. Okay, so to collaborate both the team, development and operation team, whatever tool it takes, you just have to implement it. So there are various tools where you can do just continuous integration, continuous development, continuous delivery. I would list few tools like where I work on my daily basis job here in my current company. You would, if you really want to get into a DevOps field, where you would have to know the tools like repository tools, CI/CD tools, and monitoring tools, and containerization, and cloud platform as well. So if I want me to refer some repository tools are like GitHub and Bitbucket, where you can store your all codes and you can do code versioning and configuration files, anything that you want to store as in one common repository across your organization so that everyone can access it. So those are the two tools that we use on very frequent basis. And when it's come to continuous integration and continuous delivery, right? So there are many open source like Jenkins and all, but there are some paid applications like Bambu, Urban Code and all. Urban Code is developed by IBM. So again, most of the companies would go for Jenkins because it's widely popular as open source, which is more effective and helpful, where you can customize CI/CD pipeline very well as per your requirement. And when it's come to monitoring tools, there are various tools, but I would, since I work on these tools, Nagios and Splunk, these are the kind of tools where you would need to have them for your infra or application monitoring, anything relevant to monitoring activities. You would need a certain monitoring tools as well. And containerization tools are pretty much important in DevOps. I think I would say without these, DevOps is not there. To deliver the application, maybe to deploy the application, I would name it as Docker Swarm, Kubernetes. These are the containerization tool that where we'll use it for application deployment and all, very frequent basis. And also a DevOps guy should know about cloud platforms like Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, because most of the time, I think almost every companies will use this cloud services to host their application, to host their servers in the virtual cloud. So I would highly recommend to any DevOps aspirant should know about any one cloud platform. That is enough, because most likely all the service providers are using the same flow, just the terminology is different, where Azure says Azure, Microsoft says Azure, and Amazon says AWS, and Google says GCP. So just the terminology is different, but ultimately the goal and the way they work is almost all same. So these are the few tools that I would like to discuss here. I mean, these are my recommendation to DevOps tools.
So Akash, that sounds like a gamut of tools, and it pertains to various set of activities.
I missed even one more thing that you should know about some programming language as well, like Python or Java, any one programming language is mandatory to get into DevOps. Because most of the tools, whatever we talked here, it's all script based, program based. So some tools work in Python based, like Docker and Kubernetes. They are into ML if you know a programming language called ML, which is developed using Python. So you should know a scripting language or coding language. That is one basic criteria to get into DevOps. Yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
No problem. I think that makes sense, but it seems to be a lot of activities, right?
Yes.
Someone has to be familiar with a lot of tools, but I believe it should be straightforward in terms of implementing that. In case if someone can learn this Jenkins or Bamboo, then rest of the stuff should follow. But maybe we can cover the deeper topics in future sessions, but I'm more interested in the activities, that are performed in the DevOps world. Like what are various roles? Can you please highlight them?
Yeah. So in my current company, what I do is mostly my day-to-day activity. What I am doing is including administration of servers and application. I do configuration management. I do continuous integration if it is required. I do deploy the application. I do automation. DevOps is mostly focused on automation basis where we can reduce the manual efforts. It's actually introduced for automation of manual tasks where development team and operation team do that on daily basis. And product management and application testing that I do, because when I deploy the application in the production, right? So I will have to check the basic functionality of all the application, the way it's supposed to work. I should make sure it is working fine. And also I do scripting. Let's say if there is for some of the tasks where I have to write some sort of script on requirement. If there is a requirement, I need to do a coding also. And in fact, I would also sometime collaborate with operation team and manage the change management and service management. So basically, there is no such limitation. Even I've been involved in project management meeting as well. So where some project planning, whenever there is a advice required from a DevOps team, I'll be involved to project team as well to plan the project execution and delivery and all. So, basically you do everything in one plate. So there is no limitation on the roles wise. You just have to do everything from the development until it gets delivered, the product gets delivered.
For the benefit of our audience, we will be sharing the details and the links for all the tools that Akash was talking about, be it GitHub, Bitbucket, Jenkins, Bamboo, Wrecker, Urban Code, Nagios, Splunk, Kubernetes, Azure, AWS, GCP, and at the end, Akash talked about YAML, YAML. All these details will be shared in the footnotes. So please feel free to visit those and learn more about them. Coming back to the topic about, the role of a DevOps engineer. Akash, you talked about the tools, you talked about the activities. What is a typical role of a DevOps engineer? How does a typical day looks like for a DevOps engineer from, a typical 8-hour day?
Yeah, so I would go one by one. So first and foremost thing, a DevOps guy should be able to communicate to multiple teams, including stakeholders of the organization. Okay, so that is one skill one activity that I do on day-to-day basis, where I'll talk to the development team, I'll talk to testing team, I'll even talk to operation team, which are like L1, L2, L3 support team. So that is one thing. And responsible for high availability of application. Let's say if something goes wrong with application, if you really want to, if there were any recent changes, if you really want to revert the changes because of the problem that has occurred, you should be able to revert the image of the application on immediate basis and make sure that application is up for 99.9%. That is one responsibility that I have taken here. I'm doing it. And also automation. So if there is any sort of manual task which is repetitive on every day, which can help company to organization to save time and cost both. So that is one area that I do focus every day and work on automation. So for example, right now I'm working on Ansible automation, where it helps us to do the automation of deployment and configuration management. So that is one area. And next is project planning and that is one thing that I do every day. I mean, I involve in project planning meetings where how the project stood from the time of designing until the execution. So I'm being involved, like how to, on which time, what steps that I need to take, what to do on which areas. So those are all being worked. And also risk analysis, if an application is being deployed, right? And so we will, if there is an risk or disaster, we will do that analysis of that disaster or risk or incident, anything you can name. That also we do on a day-to-day basis. And also help organization to saving the cost on infra-wise, like if there is a way to reduce some sort of things and it will help company to save the money, and that is also part of DevOps guy. And agile methodology work. So this is another thing. DevOps is again a set of multiple tools and methodologies, right? It's agile also is one that where we focus on everyday work, and obviously deployment and continuous deployment, continuous delivery. It includes everything. Configuration management and everything. So the list is basically is so much, but these are the primary area that every day I do in my current company.
Excellent, Akash. Akash, talking about the DevOps aspect, there is another term that is more popularized by Google, right? The site reliability engineering, Kubernetes being the other word. So can we talk a little bit about site reliability engineering and how it is similar, or how is it different to DevOps that we are talking about?
Yeah, so what I know is, as per my experience, I can talk. SRE and site reliability engineer are DevOps. Both are like close friends. They have same career objective. Their objective is same. Just the way, maybe it depends on organization how they really want that SRE or DevOps to be worked. Like, I don't see any much difference because both are focusing on one goal. SRE is basically again introduced by Google. That is recently it's being heard in most of the time. But ultimately, if you want me to talk about little difference between DevOps and SLA. DevOps is completely, they work on development methodologies, okay, where they're focused more on what to do on application development wise or anything like that. SRE is mostly focused on deployment side of the application, like where that it goes side of the operation. But they both do work with development team and operation team together. So SRE and DevOps are basically same. So SRE is like mostly into focused on SLI and SLO, like service level indicator or service level objective. So SRE is mainly responsible for making sure that application is available, application availability, which is 99.9%. So that is what his primary responsibility, and wherever it is required, he has to code, he has to develop, he has to automate if there is a manual task that is being repeated every day. So, and also make sure that this change management and incident analysis, those kind of areas he will be mostly into focus to. Again, I would say it depends on the organization, what roles they want to offer to an SRE and DevOps. But I would say they are just two faces of one coin.
That's great, Akash. I think we have been covering a lot of technical stuff, and definitely our listeners might be bombarded with this Jenkins, Bambu, SRE and all. So maybe let's add some spice to this episode by asking a few interesting rapid fire questions. So are you ready for a quick rapid fire round? Okay,
yeah, sure.
Wonderful. Sure. So here comes your first bullet out of the rapid fire. What are your pet peeves, Akash?
Pet peeves are like, I hate pinkish and neon colored dress, especially when the guys wear it. So I don't like it at all. That is very annoying for me.
Okay. Next bullet. What is your favorite failure?
My favorite failure is I am trying to get six-pack abs from really, really many years and long time. I'm being failed like every time almost. I'm still trying.
Great. Good luck on that. And here comes the next one. What according to you was the best invention in the last 50 years?
Smartphone. Smartphone is the
Good.
best invention that I have ever sensed, and which makes our life easy. And yeah.
Okay, here comes the next one. If you could be the CEO of an existing company, what would that be?
My current company, which is Checkpoint System.
So, probably the leadership of Checkpoint, I request you to listen to this episode. We have a future leader already. All right,
Okay.
so great rapid fire round so far. Last one for this rapid fire. Have you ever saved money to buy something you want? And if so, what was it?
A super bike.
Great. Cool. So that was a real quick rapid fire round, and thanks for being such a sport, Akash. And over to you, Sudhakar.
Okay, thank you for being such a sport, Akash. It was really rapid. One final question for this session. What is your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers?
Okay, so that's a great question, and also thank you for the question, Sudhakar. I would say you just keep learning and keep masterizing, keep expertising yourself in technology that you want to get in. That is the only way where you can create big impact in your career or the organization you join anywhere. And most importantly, these days, what I realized is even my current company or maybe my previous company, the organizations are mostly focusing on the soft skills and communication skills more than technical skills, because organizations, they have realized to teach a technical skill, it doesn't really take much time. It has a limited time to learn. But the soft skill and communication skill wise, right, it comes with the experience. So I would say you just also focus on communication skill and soft skill, because when you know something, if you don't know to express in a proper way, and obviously whatever you know, it doesn't matter because it's not being conveyed in a right way to the listener, right? So that's when communication skill comes in the picture. So obviously it is primary skill is to have technical skill, and at the same time even communication or soft skill has the equal importance in your career. Just try to keep learning every day. Basically there's lot of tutorials and documents and articles are available freely in YouTube or maybe in Google. Any source you go, you just use them, because a lot of people want to help people, like people who are into learning stage. So there are a lot of free source available. Just utilize them, learn well, keep learning. So that's how you can make a big impact in your career.
Excellent, Akash. Really amazing thoughts. Focus on your skills, be it on technical side and the soft skills. Primarily communication, because like you rightly said, whatever you have in your mind, if you are not articulating well, other person has no way to understand. And really appreciate you mentioning about that learning aspect. It is not coincidental that the guiding voice was built on these three pillars. Focus on your technical skills, soft skills, and of course always keep learning, because that is the only way you will stay current and relevant. Really appreciate you taking time today, Akash. Thank you so much. And it was indeed our pleasure to talk to you about the world of DevOps and how a typical DevOps engineer is evolved.
Thank you so much, Sudhakar and Naveen, for having me with you, and it was great talking to you both.
Pleasure is all ours, Akash, and thanks once again for being here. And folks, if you have liked this episode, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues for whom you care for. Because the Guiding Voice podcast series is a purely not-for-profit venture, and our team puts in a lot of effort to bring the best conversations to all our listeners. And our purpose is very clear. We want to provide curated guidance to all the professional students out there, be it from engineering, B schools, and all the IT employees and entrepreneurs, so that all of you can make informed decisions based on the insights that are driven by the industry experts, coaches, leaders, or academicians across the globe. Because if you share this with your friends, it helps them also learn great insights from every episode. Or if you're listening to the Guiding Voice podcast on the Apple podcast, please do not forget to leave a review and a 5-star rating, because every rating will help us expand our reach and contribute to our mission to shape the careers and lives of millions of people across the globe. And if you are watching the episode on YouTube, please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And last but not the least, I want to reiterate, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues. Thank you so much in advance. All right, so it brings us to the trivia segment of today's episode. And folks, today's trivia is about high-level languages. I know when you heard about this phrase, it might be reminding you of your initial computer science engineering days, where we were taught about low-level languages, middle-level languages, and high-level languages. So these high-level languages is more about languages which are similar to English, unlike machine language and assembly language, right? So here comes the question: who was instrumental in developing high-level computer programming languages? I know you might be thinking, but let me give you a clue. It was a US Navy officer. Okay, so in case if you couldn't figure it by now, let me reveal the answer as per the ritual. It is Grace Murray Hopper is the person who was instrumental in developing high-level computer programming languages. Interesting, isn't it? Thank you for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time, bye-bye. And we are signing off for today. See you all in the next episode.